Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2005, it's a Mazda 3. Customer complaint is there's a lot of noise in the back right side. They hit a really large pothole, and ever since the pothole has actually been rattling like crazy in there. Unmistakable the noise. I mean, I take it for a ride and it's as clear as day. So I'm going to bring you in there. I'm going to show you what it looks like. As you can see, I have the wheels off already. It's a pretty clean-cut issue, so let me bring you in there and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay. As you can see, this is the right side. I will get better lighting in here when I start on it, but as you can see, the top of the strut mount actually it broke right off up there. So we're going to be taking these shocks out and we're going to be replacing it. So as you can see, those bolts up there look pretty rusty. So we're going to spray them up real good with some penetrating oil. We're going to take them out and all right, let's get set up, get some tools over here, and we're going to do that. So those two bolts up there looks like either 12 or 13 millimeter. We're going to actually go down underneath here by the bottom of the shock absorber right there. We're going to take that bolt out, and then we'll pull the shock out, and we'll change the strut mount over. All right. Now, obviously, if you're doing these shocks on the car, you are going to need to support the suspension, because the suspension will drop down and you won't be able to get the shock back in. This is a bit of overkill. This is my transmission jack. We are going to also be replacing the stabilizer links right here too, because when I get up underneath here with a pry bar and pry on it, this is rattling here a little bit also. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to try to air gun this off right here, and then we're going to come up underneath here, and as you can see, I sprayed everything already. We're going to air gun that off right there too, if we can. I doubt we're going to get in there with an air gun, but you know, we'll probably get in there with a wrench or a socket or something, and we'll take that off. So, all right, let me grab some tools and let's get started. Okay. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out this bolt on the bottom right over here for the lower part of the shock absorber. It is a 17 millimeter. Be careful, you don't want to break it off. I did spray it up with penetrating oil. Alright, and we take our bolt out, and the shock is pretty much loose now. And then we're going to pull it out through the top. I'll bring you up there and show you what I'm going to do. I'll explain to you what I'm doing in a minute. Okay. All right. What I needed to do is to take the shock and compress it like this so that we could pull it up and out of here. As you can see, the top of the strut is broken right off here. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to try to take those bolts out up there. Actually, let me correct myself. It's not the top of the strut, it's the top of the shock mount. Now this, I'm not going to use an air gun on here because I don't want to take a chance on breaking them off. Because if they break, we're pretty much screwed, because they bolt right through the car, and we don't want to have to play around trying to drill it out or put a nut and bolt or whatever on there. So take your time. I did spray it with plenty of penetrating oil. It is pretty tight. And normally I would use an air gun on this one because of the length of the bolt, but I don't want to take a chance on breaking it off. This car is actually very, very rusty, as you can see up in here. Well, we got one down. Now, as much as you want to fling this nut across the room, don't do it because you're going to need to put this back on. Let's give it a try on this one. This one feels really, really tight. I'm going to get some never-sees up there too. Hopefully it'll lubricate it. I did spray it with penetrating oil already. Hopefully between the two of them we'll be okay. Feels a little better. As much as you don't want to take your time doing this and using the penetrating oil and the anti-seize or never-seize, whatever you want to call it, take your time, because if it snaps off, you're going to be kicking yourself that you didn't take the extra minute or two to get this thing lubricated properly. Success. All right, don't lose it. Then we just take these pieces and pry these off like this. There was a pretty big pothole to break these up. They are made of aluminum, so all right. All right, let me get set up and I'm going to show you how to put the strut mounts back together. Okay, this is the new strut, and this is the new bearing plate. And we are going to take this apart right here. We're going to take this nut off right here, and we're going to reuse this piece right in here. This actually keeps all the debris from getting on the shaft of the shock itself. So let me get an air gun, and we'll do this together. Okay, we're going to air gun that off right now. Now sometimes the whole thing will spin, sometimes it won't, so we're going to try to hold it and try to shoot it off. Be careful because you can really rip your hands out pretty easily doing that. If you don't have an air gun and you're doing this on the street, then what you'll need to do is just hold this with whether you use a pair of vice grips or the tool is made to hold it. This one I don't have that tool because this is really small, so that's that. And then this mount we'll take right off like this. This just comes right out just like this. We have our new mount right here. This goes in here just like that. This goes in our scrap pile. Now this, you just take this off of here. And we'll take that nut off. Right. Okay, sorry about that. Now that tool I was telling you about, you see how small this is right here? They make a tool like this for doing the top of the shocks to hold it in place like that. Unfortunately, I don't have one that small, so we're just going to have to improvise. All right, so we're going to take our shock mount, put it on like this. We're going to put the nut on top like that. And now we're going to air gun that back on. All right, that we got to be careful with because it's actually going to hurt your hands. So we're going to hold this with a rag, and then we're going to shoot this back on. Okay. Plan 2. That didn't work. Okay. Okay, what we're going to do now is, because I don't have that tool for it, we're just going to hold this top piece over here with a very large wrench, adjustable wrench. I mean, if you have to use whatever, you do what you got to do. And you can feel when it's bottomed out pretty much. Just tighten it to make sure. It's nice and tight. I'm just going to hit it with the air gun real quick, just to make sure it is tight. And it is. Okay. And that's what your finished product will look like when you have it all back together. Now, we're going to take this and we're going to put this back into the car. You need to push it back together to get it in there, but we'll do that together. All right, let's get back up in there and we'll see. Okay, now we're going to get the strut back in there. I push it back together. We'll put it in here. And we're going to line it up on top, and then we're going to push it up, and we'll line the, I'll show you on the bottom in a second. I am going to never seize everything before it goes back together because I don't want to take a chance on any breakage. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to put that bolt in the lower part of the strut. I'm sorry what I keep saying strut, a shock I mean. Okay, I'm going to get that caught by hand. And then we're going to put the two nuts back on the top. Okay. Okay, I'm going to shoot that lower bolt back in. Speaking. I'm not interested, thank you. Sorry about that again. I get a billion calls a day. Somebody trying to sell you something. Now, normally you would shoot this back on with an air gun. I don't want to take a chance on doing that with these bolts. They do feel pretty tight. That feels much better now. All right, we're just going to snug that up and then we'll tighten the other one up here. Feels better. That never sees great stuff. It's getting tighter now. I don't like that. But it's almost all the way. Okay, I think we're just about there. Okay. All right, before we go any further, we're going to tighten up everything up there now. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. Okay. Let me bring you in there, and I'll show you real quick. Okay. All right, so the top bolts are tight right up there. We switched over the bellows up on top here. This is actually just in case the car hits a really big bump. This piece here will actually absorb the impact. It's like a bump bushing. All right, we did come underneath here, and we did air gun that bolt in. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the other side. We're going to get that finished, and then we'll come back, and I'll show you how to do these stabilizer links. So, all right, stay tuned. We'll be back. Let me throw the other side back in here now. Okay, now the way you're gonna take this off, we're gonna bring an air gun in here, we're gonna try to loosen this up with an air gun. There also is a Torx that fits right up inside here too, and we're gonna take this off up here. I think they're 14 millimeters, and I think the Torx is either 4 or 5 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so let's get started. Most of the time this doesn't work, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway. And sure enough, it doesn't. The whole thing is spinning. Okay. All right, then what we do then is we take our 14 millimeter, put it on there. We take our socket and just tap it in, like that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we hold the Torx here so it doesn't spin, and we turn the wrench. Now, if it gets tight, stop what you're doing and go back and put some Never-Seez or anything like that on there. Hopefully it'll come out better like this, but we'll see. All right, again, we're just putting the Torx in here, and then we turn the wrench and just hold the center still. Okay. If that strips out, it is a pain in the ass, a pain in the rear end. You have to cut the nut off. So take your time, use your Never-Seez on there, and save yourself a headache. Okay, we're going to do the same thing up top here. Put your wrench on. Get your socket in here. It's actually pretty clean in there. Now remember, you're not turning the ratchet. You're just holding it and turning with the wrench. Take the extra time and use the Never-Seez, because believe me, it's a pain in the rear end trying to get in there and cut that nut off. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and we'll come right back. Okay, now that we have the other side out, we can just take these down like this, and take this out. Do the same thing on the other side. We take them both out, and we'll grab our new ones. Okay. before we do anything, these have actually grease fittings on them, so we're going to put the grease fittings in before we put it back together, because it's going to be rough to get in there. Like I said, we can adjust these later on. All right, so we're going to catch the other one to the other side now, same way. Now we're going to do this side. Now these are a little different. These we can use the air gun, because you can see here, it's got an 18 millimeter. It's got an 18 millimeter spot to hold it. So we are going to tighten them up like that, like this, and hold it in. Okay. Now that's going to be a little bit tighter up there. We're not going to have an air gun to get in there. So we're going to tighten up the other side for now. Okay, now we're just going to tighten up with a wrench. We'll snug it down as close as we can, and then we'll hold it with the other wrench. All right, that's it, nice and tight. Okay, we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. We're just going to adjust these the way we want them, facing the correct direction, and that's it, we're all set. All right, any questions or comments, you send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.